This has to be one of the nicest vertical setups, especially
thank you.
Custom that you've made that I've ever seen.
Guten gardening, everybody. I'm in southern Pennsylvania,
Right beside a ski resort, and so the views of the hills and mountains around here are amazing.
We just found a beautiful small space garden, and we're gonna interview the gardener.
Well, it's like I said, you're not going to believe the setup that we found. This has to be one of the best ways, or in my opinion, best ways of maximizing a patio or a porch garden or a small space garden that I have ever seen. And we are here today, and I get to ask the person who created all of this a few questions. And so my first question to you would be very simple. When did you start doing all of this gardening back here?
I started this in summer of 2020.
2020, and what was your inspiration for getting started with some beautiful rosemary there, getting started with this setup? I mean, you've built every single one of these from scratch. All of your setups are on wheels. What inspired you to start this type of gardening?
Well, the so-called pandemic, to a degree, and then I've always had an interest in farming, agriculture, gardening. I worked a couple summers on a organic farm, and I really enjoyed that.
So that farm, was that in Maryland, Pennsylvania area?
That was in Maryland. That was on the Eastern Shore.
That's awesome. And so you've grown, you grow similar, like I see tomatoes here. We're gonna go over and see the peppers because they're majestic. So I see tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, some herbs. How do you decide what it is that you want to grow in here?
Well, just the basics. Got to, just like what you mentioned there. What's easy to grow, what grows well here. Because I have the limited sun, I have between like 1015 and 215.
So I want to show the backdrop here so that you can see what we're talking about here. So the sun comes up over these trees at about 10:15, and you said it goes down by
2:15, it's all gone.
It's the direct sunlight's all gone. So we've got about 4 hours, 5 hours of sunlight. And so one of the beautiful parts of this setup here, because it's on wheels, and you were mentioning this to me, you got a spot here where you can sit and enjoy in the mornings, and then you can move these around to give maximum sunlight, or the ideal amount of sunlight as best you can.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Correct.
And we're at a stage now where it looks like your tomatoes here are ripening up. And you said you got these containers from Home Depot?
Right, Home Depot, Lowe's carries them too. Lowe's has a little better price.
That's fantastic. And you've set it up to be bottom watering. So all you need to do is come with you got your watering can over there?
A gallon watering jug and funnel, and it's real quick and simple.
That's such a good idea. And even if somebody doesn't have the base part here on wheels, I'm sure they could use this setup, like the containers themselves as a setup. This just makes it so much easier. And you said you have a bit of a history building, and so that's why you were able to create these massive and really excellent looking vertical gardens. You can't find these anywhere else because you've made them, you've designed them. Oh, that's fantastic. Look at these cucumbers. I've mentioned this already on my channel, but my cucumbers this year were such an abject failure. We had to leave them while we were gone on a couple of weeks trip in Canada, and it rained, but I don't know. When I got back, they were basically dead. I think I got 2 cucumbers this year, which is not ideal. I want to come over here to this tomato. How old is this tomato?
This plant is this is one I started.
Okay. Not this season.
No, I started this season. Indoors. Oh, I don't know. I started that about mid-April.
It's huge. It's absolutely beautiful. So this is typical as a California Wonder, or what?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you.
But you can see all kinds of spots where there's going to be more peppers coming in too. But this is the only one, other than I saw your rosemary, only one that's in a container on the ground, I think.
Right.
The rest of them are up here. All right, we got to get a shot. I'm trying to find a way to get a shot of these tomato plants that have to be 7, maybe even 8 feet tall. And you've got some cherry tomatoes in here. I'm not sure what these are. Which, do you know what variety?
All the tomatoes are the Home Depot. Before, prior years, I started my own. Some of the peppers are ones I started. The habanero, those are Home Depot.
Oh yeah, the habaneros. I saw those. You like hot peppers?
Yeah, and I got some fermenting lids, so I'm going to be experimenting with fermenting those and making sauce, as well as fermenting tomatoes.
So do you ever dry your peppers?
Freeze dry, yeah.
Freeze dry. Yeah, that's right. You have a freeze dryer set up. Oh, look, there's our cucumber in the back. And I know you said that this year has been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, it's been a big struggle. Should have been way ahead in harvest by this point.
And yet, I mean, the plants still look great, and there's tons of flowers on there, and it looks like there's a good number of babies, especially up top there. So, wow.
For the longest time, just until recently, it wasn't producing any female flowers. And but now in the last, say, week or two, it started to produce.
Start to see the females up top. Yeah.
All around. So it's not going to do its typical, which is about, that trellis typically does about 90 cucumbers in a season. And it's not going to do that.
Well, we always have those on years and off years anyway, I guess. But it's been so hot down here. I've been here on and off because we came down a couple weeks ago, and I've been here long enough to feel the heat. I think my wife compared it to Florida.
It's been warm here.
One of the things that I noticed about this, and I think is so cool, because it has wheels on the bottom of this setup that you have, I was wondering about pruning or taking care of these on the side, but you can just move this back.
Yeah, I can move this over.
Yeah, you've got space
left.
here, just move stuff
I can
around.
maneuver it in there, and then I've got the perfect amount of room to put a 6-foot step ladder.
Yeah.
And I can prune and harvest.
Well, I'll be honest with you, this has to be one of the nicest vertical setups, especially
thank you.
Custom that you've made that I've ever seen. And these plants look amazing. So one of the things that we always talk about on the channel is doing our best to make sure people understand that you can actually grow a lot of food even in small spaces.
Yeah, and the other thing is, don't worry about messing up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
You know what? People get so frustrated with failure when it comes to gardening.
That they don't even start.
That's so true. They think they're not going to do well. I've heard people talk about, I've got a brown thumb or whatever, there's no capacity at all to garden. And it's just not the case.
Just sit down just put a playlist on, YouTube playlist on for 2 hours and glean anything and everything you can from it. And I started with, what kind of soil do I need?
Yeah.
How do I create the best soil? So, a couple hours of YouTube. And
I tell you what, and the folks on YouTube are always, gardeners in general are willing to share. That's one of the things that we've found, that they're really sharing people when it comes to their knowledge, what's worked well for them. The key is finding also people who are willing to share what hasn't worked for them, so that then you can learn from their mistakes as well.
Right.
Well, I really appreciate your giving me some time here.
Hey, if our series of touring all these beautiful gardens has taught you nothing else, always be on the lookout for garden ideas and inspiration. You know what? If you have a desire to garden, even in the smaller spaces, there's availability if you're creative. And again, if you have that drive. Well, that's it from this beautiful spot in Zone 7A, Pennsylvania. I'm going to show you that view one more time. We hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.